Skelly, and I'm a digital book specialist here at Overdrive. I'm joined by my teammate Marissa Gillette, and this morning we'll be taking you through Getting Started with Libby, the one-tap reading app from your local library. A few housekeeping items before we dive into the Libby app. You can ask Marissa and I any questions throughout the entire presentation by going and tapping on the Q&A button within your Zoom meeting controls. We have chat disabled so that all of our questions go into one place so that everyone can benefit from those answers. You also won't be able to raise your hand. We have that disabled as well because the only way we'll be able to hear you is if you type in that question. If one of us is talking or presenting, the other will be responding. So keep that in mind that someone will always be answering your questions as they appear. So feel free, ask those questions throughout. You can also ask questions anonymously if that makes you more comfortable. The other key item here is we are recording our sessions today. You'll receive a follow-up email tomorrow morning from Zoom that includes copies of these recordings. So today you have 3 different types of presentations. So you'll receive a recording of your Getting Started session, your magazine focus session, and then our tips and tricks session where we take a deeper dive into Libby. You're welcome to come back at 10 and 10:30 for those magazines and tips and tricks session. You don't need to re-register. You can just use the same link you used to join this meeting here. Also in that email tomorrow morning from Zoom, you'll receive our Getting Started with Libby PDF. This breaks down the steps to downloading the Libby app and getting signed in for the very first time. Feel free to share these recordings or this PDF with family and friends, anyone who you think would benefit from meeting Libby. So with that said, I'm going to take a minute here to get my device connected so I can take you through the process of downloading Libby and getting signed in for the first time. Now, Marissa and I are both using iPads this morning. The Libby app is a free app available on iOS, so those are your Apple mobile devices, Android, and then you can use Libby in a browser by going to libbyapp.com. Now, whether you are using Libby on Apple, Android, or in a browser on your computer, you will have the same experience once we get into the app itself. The only thing that will look different for Apple and Android users is just where you're going to download the app. Last thing I want to mention is there is not currently a Libby app available for Kindle Fire, something we're always working on, but not available at the moment. But you can use Libby to send titles to your Kindle. All right, so my device is all connected. I've got all those messages out of the way. Let me take a second here and walk us through the process of downloading and getting signed in. So on my Apple device, I'll be going to my blue App Store icon. If you're on an Android device, you'll be going to the Google Play Store. It's a multicolored play button or a multicolored triangle. And we'll tap into the app. And this should open up our App Store. We'll see our main screen here, but I know what I'm looking for, so I'm going to go right for search and type in Libby, L-I-B-B-Y. And then to make sure we don't get any confusing results, I'm just going to tap this blue search button. When you just type in Libby, she's usually the first or second result. She's only ever second if an ad pops up. We're looking for Libby by Overdrive. We see it right here. Now you see on my screen it says open, but on yours it will say get or install. Libby is a free app, so tap get or install. Give the app a minute to download, and then we'll go through the process of signing in. So once your app is downloaded, we'll leave the App Store and go and find that fresh new app on our screen. See that right there. It's that maroon app icon with Libby reading her book. And when I tap in for the very first time, Libby has a few questions for me to help guide me into my library and get signed in with my card. So her first question is, do you have a library card? I'll tap on yes. And now we need to find our library. I recommend using I'll search for a library. This is a precise option that allows you to search by your library name, your city, or your zip code. I'm actually going to go with our consortia name here and type in PALS, which is the only option that pops up, so that's easy. PALS Plus, New Jersey Overdrive Library. We're looking for this one right here. I'm just going to tap on this box to make my choice. And just like that, I'm in the PALS Plus digital collection. From here, I need to tap on Let's Add a Library Card for PALS Plus and enter my library account details. So this is where I will take a second to type in my card number. And with that card number in, all you need to do is tap on Sign In. And now the screen will refresh and your card has been added to your digital collection. So this is where I get to hand things off to Marissa. She's going to take us through the process of searching for titles, borrowing and placing holds, adjusting our preferences for appearance settings, and notifications. Marissa is using a demo library from Overdrive, so you'll see a different logo at the top of her screen, but the way the app functions is exactly the same, regardless of what library you're in. So it looks like Marissa's all connected, so I'll hand it off to her. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right, thank you, Joe, and welcome everyone. Good morning. Just a reminder for anyone new that popped in after Joe went through the housekeeping, you can ask questions using the Q&A feature throughout the presentation. Chat is disabled just so that we are getting everything coming into one spot. So use Q&A to ask any questions, and I'll go ahead and get started with how to search, borrow, place holds, manage your or customize your reading settings, and then we'll finish off with our app settings. So I'm going to start at the very bottom of the screen here in the footer. This is where you're going to find the main navigation in Libby. In the very center of the screen is going to be the Libby menu. That is what you can think of as your app settings and where we'll finish off the presentation today. To the left of the app settings is where you're going to be doing all of your searching when you're looking for books. And then to the right of your app settings is going to be your shelf where all of your borrowed materials and holds will live. So I'll talk about all these icons in depth as we work through them, but just as an overview, to the left is all of the searching, and to the right is where your borrowed materials will live. So we're going to start on the library card icon. The library card icon is where all of your curated collections and all of your browsing is going to be done. So up at the top, you'll find filters. You can tap any of these filters to search through library books in your library's digital collection by certain criteria. So you can look at what's new, what's popular, what's random. And then as we scroll down through this page here, you can start seeing curated collections. And what curated collections means is that your library can put together collections for you to see. So last month was Women's History Month. If you walked into the physical library, then your library would be curated collections that you could see with female authors. So that's what a curated collection is. And this page will have many curated collections that you can browse through. Now, I do want to point out how you can visually tell the difference between an ebook. Oop, I accidentally tapped that. Between an ebook and an audiobook. And a good example of this is American Dirt. We actually have two copies of this in this little graphic here. One has an icon underneath it that says 17 hours. That is how you know that this is going to be an audiobook that you will listen to. Whereas the other copy of it is a full jacket cover. You can see it's a full jacket cover instead of 2/3 of the way through like that audiobook, and it doesn't have the number of hours that it is. So that's how you know that this is going to be an ebook and this will be an audiobook. Now, on your library card, you're browsing for titles because you don't know exactly what you're looking for. You're seeing these curated collections from your library, or you're browsing by what's new or popular. If you know exactly what you're looking for, then you can actually tap this search icon, so that magnifying glass right next to that library card. And if you tap on that, This is where you can find something specific. So if you know exactly what you're looking for, here you can type in a title or an author. I'm going to type in wonder here, and we're going to search for wonder. So I just typed that in, and now I'm tapping on search. When you're searching for a title, you'll notice that some titles will say place hold next to their jacket cover, while other titles will say borrow. If a title says place hold, then that means there's currently a waiting list and you'll have to get in line. To join the waiting list, all you have to do is tap on place hold. That will bring you to the confirmation page. And on that confirmation page, it will show you roughly how long that hold will take to get to you. And then you can tap place hold one more time to confirm that you want to place a hold on that title. After your hold is placed, Libby's going to give you a few different options for what to do next. I'm going to go ahead and say keep browsing, and that's going to take us right back to the same search that we were making. So once I tap keep browsing, you'll see I go back to wonder. I'm still searching for wonder here. And let's go ahead and borrow wonder. I can see that borrow button right next to the jacket cover. I could click that. Or we can also tap on any jacket cover to view title details. So if you don't know what a book is about yet, you can go ahead and tap on that jacket cover, and that will give you that information. This page will also have a borrow link. So after you read what that book is about, you can come up here and tap on borrow. This is going to bring you to the borrowing confirmation page. Up at the top, you'll see that we're borrowing Wonder for 14 days. That is the default lending period at your library. So you will be able to borrow titles for 14 days, and then they will automatically return on their due date. You don't have to worry about late fees. And then to confirm that we're going to borrow this book, we just have to tap on borrow one more time. So when you borrow a book, it will download automatically for offline use. So you can see right here, this circle is going around. As soon as we get a check mark in this circle, that means it's downloaded for offline use. We no longer have to use Wi-Fi or be on cellular data. It will work up in a plane or out on a boat. Wherever you want to take it, it will work. Now I'm going to go ahead and tap open book. And that's going to give us the option to either send to Kindle or to read in Libby. So the send to Kindle process is really easy. I can't show it because it requires me to sign into my Amazon account, but I promise it is so simple. All you have to do is tap on Kindle. It will prompt you to sign into your Amazon account, and then there will be a big gold button that says Get Library Book. And after you tap that, the title will deliver to your Kindle device. Today is all about Libby, so I'm going to open the title in Libby and show you a few of the key reading features there. So when you first open a title, you'll have menus up at the top and bottom of the screen. So in the bottom here, it's taking a second to load. You'll always find your reading progress. So to the left of the jacket cover here, you'll always have what page you're on. And then to the right, it will be the total number of pages. There we go. It loaded, so you can see what that looks like. To make these menus disappear, all you have to do is tap on the center of the screen, and that will drop those out of the way. So I'm just going to tap on that. Those will drop out of the way. And then we can begin tapping or swiping on the right side of the screen to page forward throughout the book. So I'm just going to tap on the right side of the screen here, and let's get to a big chunk of text. There we go. All right. So one of the great things about Libby is that you can customize your reading appearance to meet your individual needs. So to show you how to do that, I'm going to tap on the center of the screen. That's going to make those menus reappear. So anytime you need those menus, just tap on the center of the screen and those will come back up. Up in the very top right-hand corner, you'll see that A icon. That A stands for appearance. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on the A icon. That's going to bring up our appearance menu. And I'm just going to drag this up a little bit there. There we go. So within your appearance, there's a few different things that you can change, including your text scale. So you can use this text slider here to decrease or increase the font size. Oh, my internet is going a little bit slow today and not catching up with me, but it will catch up. You also have different lightings you can use. So right now we're in bright mode. You can always change it over to dark mode if you want something a little bit easier on your eyes. And then last but not least, we have book design. These are the different fonts that you can put Libby into. I always like to point out this open dyslexic font here. My font's not showing up. There we go. As soon as I tapped on open dyslexic, let me make that a little bit bigger so you can see. There is an extra weight to the bottom of the characters and a little extra space in between those characters in this open dyslexic font, which might make it easier for some users with dyslexia to read. So I always like to point that out. I'm going to put these all back to their default, and that's because I want them back in their default for the next presentation, and these settings are sticky. And what I mean by sticky is you only have to make these changes once, and then moving forward, Libby's going to remember what your appearance customizations are and deliver books to you automatically with those customizations in place. So you're not going to have to make these changes every single time. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on hide. That's going to drop it out of the way and hopefully bring my text back up. Oh, that's why it was doing it, is because I made it so big and small that it only had one sentence left. There we go. And we're going to hop out of this ebook and into an audiobook. So I'm going to tap on the center of the screen here. That's going to make those menus reappear if you remember. And then what I'm looking for to leave the ebook is the back button in the top left-hand corner. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap on that. And that will take me to the shelf. So I said down at the bottom of the screen here that I was going to talk about these icons when we got to them. So we know the library card is where you browse for titles. The magnifying glass is where you search for specific titles. That shelf is going to be where all of your borrowed materials will live. So now that we've borrowed Wonder and then left the ebook, we're on our shelf up here at the top. You can see I'm on my shelf. And now Wonder, which I just borrowed a few moments ago, is on our shelf. That little bookshelf gives you a little hint of you keep your books on your bookshelf. So that is how you can remember that's where you need to be to find your loans or your holds. As I scroll down on my shelf, you'll see here's an audiobook that I borrowed a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to go ahead and open that title in Libby to just show you a few things inside that audiobook. Up at the top of the screen, you'll find your reading progress. So I'm about 58% of the way through. It breaks it down even further on the left and right. So I'm about 3 hours in with 2 hours left. Down at the bottom of your audiobook player, you will have the play button. To go ahead and start listening to your audiobooks, all you have to do is tap on play. And that will start the narrator. You can't hear her because you need to hear me, but I can hear her on my end. You might wonder where the stop button is here. There is not a stop button in our audiobooks. We didn't want to clutter up that interface with a bunch of buttons for you to keep track of. So when you're done listening to audiobooks for the time being, all you have to do is tap on pause. That pause button here will stop that narrator from talking. And then that's when you can close the app, or just like in that ebook, you can tap on back up in that top left-hand corner to return to your shelf. All right, there were 2 icons left here that we have to talk about. And then also we have our reading now bar. So anytime you open a book, the last book that you opened is going to appear in a bar right next to your navigation bar. So it was Wonder until I opened up my audiobook, and now it's my audiobook. That's just for quick access to jump back in. I'm going to dismiss that so you can see my full navigation bar here. Again, I'm just going to reiterate, we search for specific books with that magnifying glass. We browse the library's digital collection with the library card. Our shelf holds all of our loans and holds. And then last but not least, we have our activity timeline. I'm just going to give you a little peek of that. This just shows all of your history within the app. So anytime you borrow a book, place a hold, return, or renew. The very last thing we're going to cover today is the Libby menu. That's always going to be right in the center of your navigation bar. And you can think of Libby as your app settings. So I'm going to tap on that Libby menu here. She's actually letting me know I have 2 notifications waiting for me with that little red bubble there with the 2 inside. I'm going to tap on Libby's head, and that Libby menu comes out from the right side of the screen. So up at the top of the screen, we have the 2 notifications that Libby was giving me. So I'm going to dismiss these by swiping them to the left so that I can show you how to manage your notifications. So I'm just going to tap on this big box here, and then I'm going to start swiping it to the left. And as I swipe it, you can see there's my second notification that she was telling me about. I'm going to swipe this just the same way, tapping, holding, and swiping to the left. And now I see the option to manage my notifications. So if you have multiple notifications sitting there already, just keep on swiping, and eventually you'll see that manage notification button there. And I'm going to tap on that. This is how you get alerted about important events in Libby. So there are 3 ways to be notified, including ignore. So if you don't want a notification, that's a good option for you. The menu badge is an in-app notification. And what that means is you have to be inside the Libby app to see it. And it was actually what you just saw me walk through. The first indication of that in-app menu badge notification was the red dot on Libby's head with the number of notifications inside it. So I had 2 waiting for me there. Once I tapped the Libby menu, those notifications appeared in that box at the top of the menu. So you have to have the Libby app open to see those notifications. This blue option that says notification here, that notification will appear regardless of what app you have open. So if you don't open Libby every single day, I would suggest going with this blue notification option. It's a push notification that will appear on your device's screen, kind of like a text message would. You could be browsing Facebook or reading the news, and that notification will still appear on your screen. So those are the ways you can be notified. Right below that are all of the things that you can be notified about. The most important is hold ready. And the reason it's important to be notified when your hold is ready is that when it's your turn on the wait list, you will have a 3-day period to cancel, borrow, or deliver your hold later. And what delivering your hold later means is you choose a time period where you stay at the top of the wait list, maybe because you're busy, maybe because you're reading multiple books at the time. Whatever the reason, you want to stay at the top of that holds list, and people will skip over you in line until that time period that you chose ends. Once that time period ends, you'll be alerted again and have another 3-day period to either borrow, cancel, or deliver the book later again. Now, if in that 3-day period you don't take action, then Libby's going to automatically deliver your title later one time as a courtesy. And then the next time she alerts you and you have another 72-hour period, you have to take action in that second 72-hour period she gives you, or she'll cancel your hold. Because at that point, the book is sitting in limbo for 6 days where you're the only person who can take action on it. So it's really important to be notified when your hold is ready so that you're taking action and not missing out on any of those juicy books that you placed on hold there. All right, I'm going to tap on back here. And we just have one more thing, two more things to talk about. Right underneath your manage notifications, you'll find your library cards. So you can add as many library cards to Libby as you'd like. These can all be from the same library. If you have multiple people in your family who want to share one device, you can all add your library cards there. Or they can be from different library cards. This will all vary state to state on what your availability is. We are from Ohio, so we have access to many libraries within the state, regardless of what county we live in. Again, I would just suggest you reach out to the libraries that you're interested in to see what the criteria for getting a card is. But what the benefit of adding additional cards from multiple library systems is that you can hop into one library and search for a book, and perhaps it has a long holds list or they don't own it at all. You can come into this Libby menu, tap into your second library card or third, or in Joe's case, seventh library card. He has quite a few. And you can see if those libraries have shorter waiting lists or they have purchased copies of titles that maybe your original library didn't. So that's the benefit of adding additional library cards. Last but not least, we have help and support. So if you come down to get some help right down here at the bottom, this is where you can find common solutions to frequently asked questions. Or up at the top in this box here, you can type in keywords or full questions. So let's pretend I don't know where to find my holds. I can type in holds here, that's just a keyword, and tap on search. And Libby's going to try to guess what I'm asking just based on that one word. So she'll spit out a couple questions here. I'm looking for where are my holds. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. And that will give me the full directions for where to find my holds. Now, if you can't find the answers you're looking for this way, don't worry, because you can come down to Ask Our Support Team and tap on that. And that will connect you with Overdrive technical support specialists. They are Libby experts. There's not a question that you can ask that they don't know the answer to. And they can also troubleshoot any issues that you might run into, whether it's your title not downloading correctly or something like that. They can send you troubleshooting steps via email. So that is everything that you need to know from borrowing a title to contacting our support team if you have any questions. All of the basics that you need to know to get started with Libby. So I'm going to let Joe take back over on the screen here, and he's going to wrap up with a few final thoughts.
Thanks, Marissa, and thank you all so much for joining us this morning. This wraps up our first Getting Started session. That was at 9 a.m. We have another one